What's up, everybody? Given that Gavin first started covering NVIDIA as an investor at the turn of the century, you can imagine how insightful the conversation between the prolific tech/AI investor Gavin Baker, managing partner and CIO of Atreides Management, and Patrick O'Shaughnessy is. Episode 385 of Invest Like the Best most definitely falls in the can't miss bucket. Number one, Larry Page is quote unquote willing to go bankrupt rather than lose this race. Here's the quote. So Larry Page has evidently said internally at Google many times, I am willing to go bankrupt rather than lose this race. So everybody is really focused on this ROI equation, but the people making the decisions are not, because they so strongly believe that scaling laws will continue. And there's a big debate over whether these emergent properties are just in context, learning, et cetera, but they believe scaling laws are going to continue. The models are going to get better and more capable, better at reasoning. And because they have that belief, they're going to spend until I think there is irrefutable evidence that scaling laws are slowing. And the only way you get irrefutable evidence why has progress slowed down since GPT-4 came out is that there hasn't been a new generation of NVIDIA, GPUs. It's what you need to enable that next real step function change in capability. Number two, quote unquote, only less than 1% of current global internet market cap was founded in the 2 years after Netscape Navigator came out. Chase Coleman, who runs Tiger, is an exceptional investor, had a really interesting stat, which was ChatGPT came out in 2022 and was to AI as Netscape Navigator was to the internet in 1994. Only less than 1% of current global internet market cap was founded in the 2 years after Netscape Navigator came out. And nobody could imagine the companies that were going to be founded. So it's just the biggest companies were founded many years later or several years later, 5 or 6 years later. It's just, we're very early. Important to have a lot of humility. Number three, Elon and Jensen work on the most critical problems and love bad news. So Elon and Jensen in particular are nothing like that. Not only are they the front person, but they're always working on the most critical problems at the company. So he is working on the most important problem. That is also what Elon does at each of his companies. Whatever is the most important problem is what he is working on. Second is loving to hear bad news. My dad was a bankruptcy attorney. He always said the number one thing all bankrupt companies had in common was the CEO who didn't like to hear bad news. Just say Elon and Jensen love hearing bad news. At those companies, if there's bad news, it must immediately go to them. And that's very differentiating. No hierarchy. Hope you check out the episode. It's fantastic. Have a good day. Take care.